I'm Holly Michael, editor and publisher of the Twin Creek Times, and this is our list. This week, we are looking at area cemeteries, a final resting place for you and your loved ones, and we'll be visiting some old cemeteries with some of our forefathers in the community, but also looking at current cemeteries where you and your family could make plans for the future. So this is the Hope Cemetery on Clayton Road in Farmersville. And there are a number of old graves here, but also very recent new burials. And if you're not familiar with the name Hope Cemetery, it is the cemetery that is right next to Slifers Presbyterian Church on Clayton Road. Another really old cemetery in our community is the one here right next to Slifers Presbyterian Church. This is actually the grave marker for Philip and Elizabeth Slifer, who donated the land to the church in 1819. And as you can see, a number of very old graves here. This is Clayton Road in the background, and you can see we're right here next to the side of Slifers Presbyterian Church. I'm here at the corner of Dallas and Elm Streets in Farmersville at a very old cemetery in our community. And most of the stones, as I walked around, date to the late 1800s. I think I saw one burial from 1925 here. But there are a lot of really interesting stones and monuments to families, and it is a very serene background and final resting place for these residents of the early days of Farmersville. This is Tristle Cemetery. It's north of Farmersville on Diamond Mill Road, and it's technically still in Jackson Township, so I'm going to count it as a potential local place for a final resting place of a loved one or yourself. And it's a really serene place. It sits up from the road on a hill, and it looks like a really quiet and peaceful location. And I know that they have a number of open places for families to consider. In addition to burials, Tristle offers these options for storing urns and cremated remains. Germantown Union Cemetery is a large and beautiful cemetery, burial home to the forefathers of Germantown, and also then open to current resting place of potentially your family and friends. And again, a beautiful and serene place. This is on 725 as you head out of Germantown. And again, you can see there's a number of beautiful monuments here and a really wonderful environment. The Germantown Union Cemetery has a great website, and one of the things that you can do is use it to search for graves. And based on our earlier story about the murder of George Lindenmuth, I plugged in his name and his family's name, and I came up with some graves, and there was a note here that they were buried in this area. Some of the graves you can see are very difficult to read. There is one that does say George, and I can't see the rest of it. And there is an Emmerich buried nearby, which was also part of his mother's family. On down, there is a very clearly and much more expensive grave, apparently, that looks like is Thomas Lindenmuth, which is the name of one of his brothers, and the dates work out. So it's just an interesting connection to our earlier story, and an example of what you can do when you come here to the cemetery and what you can see.